The only way to start getting better is to engage life with the little you know. Until what you know becomes what you do, you don't know anything. So that little that you have mastery over, start doing something with it. Little by little, start getting better. So said the man behind. Listen.
Until what you know becomes what you do, you don't know anything. The evidence of knowledge is outcome. So the challenge you guys have is not that you're not trying.
Yeah.
Is you cannot explain how your result came.
Exactly.
The true power is able to explain the science of your result. In other words, there's so many things you've done that has worked, but because you're not conscious of process, you never observe the workings of these things. Real wealth is portable. Wealth is portable. Your greatest asset is your preserved knowledge. Your greatest asset is your preserved knowledge. The knowledge that you gain from the things you've done well, and the lessons you learned from the things that didn't work, and what you learned from how to get things done. Sure. Preserve knowledge of how things work and why things exist. It's your greatest asset. Your preserved knowledge. Okay? And I can't say it enough. Okay? That knowledge is the greatest asset. And people don't even know what I'm talking about in terms of knowledge being the greatest asset. I said that no asset in itself can protect itself outside the knowledge of the person that has it. No asset can protect itself outside the knowledge of the person that possesses the asset. So which means assets themselves are creations of knowledge. Land does not have value in and of itself. It is human activity that puts value in the land.
Wow.
So when people say, like in real estate, they say location. But location of where? It is still a location of the function of people's activity, the places they place value. Because there's a certain level of person you can be. You can set up in a new location where nobody is there, and because of you, that place will have value.
Exactly.
The greatest asset is knowledge, preserved knowledge. And how it works for me is my adventure in the business world. Anytime I travel to any part of the world, I always have access to the best people there. It seems like favor. No, it's not. Yes, it is at the same time, because if you get to see that value tend to gravitate towards value.
Exactly.
Right? In fact, really, the greater the value you have, the more other values come to you. The lesser the value you have, the more you gravitate towards the kind of person. I want to know what knowledge you've gained that is with you, that no one can take away from you, that you are going to now use to add value to things on earth. And then because of that knowledge, things come better because you're involved in it.
Yeah.
So write this down, you're ready to write it again. Life does not reward you according to your effort. Life
does not reward me according to my effort.
Life does not reward you according to your effort. Life rewards me according to your definitions.
According to my definition.
Anything you cannot define overwhelms you. Anything you can define, you can modify.
Really?
Now, two of you have some element of goals and targets in between what you said. It is here and there, but because it's not properly defined and arranged, you can't control the elements. Because it's not properly defined, in a context that allows you to look at the indices that measure the goal, that measure the outcome. Look at the indices that measure the outcome. You look at the indices that measure the outcome. Indices means indications. What are the things that if these things happen, this will always happen. But I cannot control the happening of these things. Once I touch this button, this happening. Which means if you're not able to identify, right, the indications or the indexes that has to move or be present or absent to be able to control an outcome, you cannot repeat the outcome. Until what you know becomes what you do, you don't know anything. The evidence of knowledge is outcome.
Okay.
So the challenge you guys have is not that you're not trying, is you cannot explain how your result came. The true power is able to explain the science of your result. If you're not able to explain that, you're still one of the people going through life hoping that things work. And the real power is the power of formula, the power of how things work. That's the real power. In other words, there's so many things you've done that has worked, but because you're not conscious of process, you never observe the workings of those things.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense.
When people give testimonials, because I want you to give testimonials as you grow and progress. I want you to give testimonial. When I got this result, when I met Mr. Ugo, this is where my life was, and this is where my life is right now. And you can explain that when I met him, I didn't know XYZ. Now I know XYZ, and I'm able to put the XYZ into actions. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And I also say that if you cannot repeat any result you cannot repeat, the first one was a mistake.
Any result you cannot repeat,
does it make sense?
The first one was a mistake.
To speak English language, what's the first thing you have to learn?
ABCD now.
Does it change?
It doesn't.
Does it change?
Not at all, sir.
So the formula for speaking English is where?
In ABCD.
If you learned English without doing ABC, you can't teach it to someone else.
Is it possible to learn English without learning ABCD?
Which means if for some reason you speak English without ABC, you stumbled upon that language. You cannot control it.
Exactly.
Control the proliferation of that language.
I hear you.
Does it make sense?
Sure, it does.
You speak English, you have to learn ABCD. You see, right? Once you can be able to learn the alphabet and then form words and then form sentences, you now have mastery in the propagation of English language. But if you don't learn English through those alphabets, for which you can create words and create sentences, you cannot proliferate the English language. So the power to propagate English language is in the ABCD.
Okay.
The ABCD is a formula for that English language. When you finally speak English, those ABCD are now what is called knowledge. Does it make sense?
Sure, it does.
Now write this down.
Okay.
Learning
is
superior
to knowledge.
Knowledge is the byproduct of learning.
Knowledge is the byproduct of learning.
When you have learned ABCD, from which you can be able to compute words, from which you can be able to make sentences, that process that gives you capacity to understand the ABCD of English is learning.
Okay.
What you're able to do after the learning at that time, what is left after you've learned it, is called knowledge. Knowledge expires. Knowledge expires, which means what you learned yesterday might not be useful today. Yet it's what you learned. But why is learning powerful? If you come to an outcome through a process of observation of what happened in that process, and you get the outcome, right? What's called is knowledge right now. The reason why learning is powerful is that you can take that knowledge that came from the process and give it to the person that doesn't have your results now. Which means knowledge is only useful for those coming behind you for a result you already gotten. But if you didn't learn ABC through that process and you cannot explain how you got that knowledge, it was a chance event. You might not repeat it again next time. Wow. Why is learning superior? Learning is the only means through which I can get knowledge.
I believe you.
Knowledge is an applied information. It is when you try something and then you get the outcome. That outcome you get, the recording of that outcome through the processes that led to that outcome that is already in your head is knowledge.
It's knowledge, yeah. Exactly.
So there's so much result we have gotten But because it was not a conscious process of learning, we cannot reproduce results. Even worse still, we cannot even extend to the next generation. So when I say wealth is portable, wealth is supposed to be portable, which means the true wealth you have is the aggregation of the knowledge you've gotten in the process of creating that which you have. So with that which you have is only a shadow of that which you know. If you build $4 billion worth of business, the real value is in the knowledge that built the business. Even if I crash the building, you can
do it again.
But if you speed through the process and actually did some things right, maybe by divine providence, you did everything checked out, and then the result came out, and you were not observant of those processes, you've lost the real asset, which is the knowledge that led to that. But because most of us are in a society or culture that does not see process as the real value, we just hope that things work. Meanwhile, we have done some things right, and then we finally made money, and then we're not celebrating the money without celebrating the actual processes that went through to get that money.